friend of mine recently expressed some polyamorous wisdom that will now be stuck in my head forever. They said, throuples are polyamory level 100, and you might not want to go for them if you're level 1. That begs the question, what is polyamory level 1? That's what I want to talk about in this video. First of all, why do I think throuples are polyamory level 100? To be very clear, I am not saying that throuples are bad, that they never work, or that if you go for them in the beginning of your polyamory journey, you will fail. What I am saying is that throuples are usually a very difficult relationship structure to establish and maintain. The dating pool for polyamorous folks is already super limited compared to monogamous people. Finding someone who wants to be in a relationship with both you and your partner makes it that much harder. Then, once a throuple is established, it takes a ton of communication to maintain. A throuple is not one relationship, it's at least 4. 3 one-on-one relationships, and the dynamic of the 3 people together. That's a lot of communication, especially to those new to polyamory. So, what is polyamory level 1? I'm going to break this down into 2 sections. One for people who are coming into polyamory with an already established partner, and another for those coming into it on their own. This distinction is important because these 2 groups face very different challenges when starting out. For couples, the challenge is most often adjusting to their partner seeing other people and managing the jealousy that comes along with it. For single folks, the biggest challenge is usually being taken seriously as a polyamorist in the first place. For this reason, I think polyamory level 1 differs pretty significantly between these 2 groups. If you're beginning to explore polyamory with an established partner, I think level 1 involves 3 steps: communicate, first date, and communicate. I would say reading up on polyamory is level 1, but no amount of reading is going to prepare you for how you'll feel when your partner begins seeing another person. It's really important to start processing those feelings as soon as possible. First dates are the lowest stakes way of truly experiencing those feelings. So, what do I mean by communicate, first date, communicate? The first communicate means setting boundaries and expectations for a first date. Talk to your partner about what you expect to happen on the date, when you expect to be back, your availability to communicate while on the date, things like that. It's also important to communicate about things you don't expect to happen, but are open to if they do. Sometimes first dates go way better than we thought. Maybe we didn't expect to go back to the other person's place, but that's just where the night led us. It is very important to let your partner know if you're open to possibilities like that before the date. The next step is actually going on the first date. I highly recommend that established partners go on dates separately from each other and at different times. Although it may be logistically easier to go on your separate first dates at the same time, you're not always going to have dates at the same time in the future. It's very important to know what that feels like before people start getting into more committed relationships. What if the jealousy is far more intense than you expected and you decide to take a step back from polyamory? No polyamorist likes to have a relationship cut short because the other person isn't ready for polyamory. But if that does happen, we'd much rather it happen after the first date, not after several dates when we feel a stronger connection. The final step is communicate again. Set aside time with your partner to discuss how the date went and how they felt about it. What feelings did they struggle with? Were the expectations accurate? How do they feel going forward? Things like that. This level 1 helps you ease into the world of polyamory while still getting real-world experience of difficult feelings. If this video is useful to you so far, a quick tap of that like button really helps me with YouTube's algorithm. Thank you. As I said earlier, single people can have a much different experience exploring polyamories than couples, and that comes along with its unique set of challenges. Unfortunately, a ton of people out there think that polyamory just means someone hasn't found the one yet. This false assumption presents itself even more with single polyamorous people. So, I think polyamory level 1 for a single person involves 2 things. Spot the cowpoke and be crystal clear about what polyamory means to you. Cowboy, cowgirl, and cowpoke are terms used in non-monogamy to describe someone who dates non-monogamous people with the intention of roping them into a monogamous relationship. Sometimes this is done very intentionally, and other times it happens because the person just doesn't understand what polyamory is. It's not easy, but there are a few ways to steer clear of cowpoke and other people who just don't take polyamory seriously. You get it? Steer clear? Cowpoke? I think every polyamorous person should tell their potential connections that they're polyamorous before the first date, but this is especially important for single people. The longer you wait to tell someone you're polyamorous, the more likely they are to brush your polyamory off as not real. Pay very close attention to how your connections respond when you bring up polyamory. If someone says, "Yeah, I'm cool with that," you may be tempted to take a breath of relief. Before you do that, you may want to ask yourself whether or not a person giving a short, half-hearted response is actually okay with polyamory, or if they're just blowing you off. You should also establish clear expectations as soon as possible. This doesn't necessarily have to be before the first date, but as soon as you see that a connection has potential to be something more committed, that person should know that you intend to seek and maintain intimate relationships with others. Figure out how much that person wants to know about your other intimate connections, whether or not they also intend to date others, expectations of time, things like that. But Chad, what if they feel like I'm bombarding them with polyamory and that scares them off? If someone is scared off by the communication of expectation and boundaries, that person wasn't going to be comfortable with a polyamorous relationship anyway. Polyamory can be very tricky to navigate, especially if you're brand new at practicing it. Hopefully, these level 1 starting points give you a good idea of how to start figuring it all out. If you found this video useful, there is a whole lot more to come, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get notified when I post a new video. If you want to support the channel even further, I'd be very grateful if you check out my shop. I just designed some new merch using the colors of the new Polyamory Pride flag, including my first holographic sticker. I'll talk more about the new flag in a future video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.